Welcome to Talking Tobacco. I am your host, Bill Ball, and this is episode 1 of Talking Tobacco. I've been wanting to do this podcast for a while now. I've been putting it off for God knows how long, and as you can already tell, this is going to be a no-frills podcast. I'm going no music, no intro, no cuts. I'm just going to get right into it because I listen to a lot of podcasts. I like them all. I love all the pipe podcasts out there. I listen to a bunch of others too. But I wind up skipping all the intros. I feel like they're too long, and I don't care about the music and all this other stuff. So we'll see. Who knows? Episode 2 might have music for all I know. So this is going to be a work in progress. But anyway, I appreciate you downloading the show. I assume you are a pipe smoking maniac like myself. Actually, I'm not that big a maniac of a pipe smoker. Honestly, it's like I'm getting in like maybe 3 or 4 bowls a week on a good week. I'm sure you're getting more, so lucky you. But I have been wanting to give back to the pipe smoking community for a while now. I've been consuming the YouTube videos of all the YTPC and all the guys doing reviews for years now. And I thought about doing a YouTube show, but I really don't want to do video. And YouTube seems to be cracking down on tobacco-related content anyway. It just seems like a hassle. So I figured, why not try the podcast since I do one for work anyway, and I actually enjoy it. So here it is. I figure with this first episode, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my pipe origin story, how I started smoking a pipe, because, you know, in this day and age, it's still a little rare for someone under 50, barely under 50, but it's technically still under 50, to be smoking a pipe. And I'm always curious about other people's pipe origin stories. Who was their influence? How did they start? And, where they are now. So I'm going to do that for episode 1. I'm just going to give you my background, a little bit of my personal background, and then my pipe origin story, where I am now with my tobacco types, and we'll wrap up the episode. I also want to keep these episodes kind of on the shorter side. I'm thinking 20, 25 minutes, maybe you're walking your dog, you need something to listen to, or you're doing a quick errand in your car or riding to work or whatever. But I want to get in and out with these. I don't want these to be long and dragged on, unless I have a guest that's really good and they're, saying interesting stuff, then we'll let it roll. But otherwise, these are going to be quick hitters, guys. Almost like a YouTube audio podcast type of deal. So instead of doing a YouTube video, just want to do the podcast on it. So here we go. Again, my name is Bill Ball. I am originally from Philadelphia, South Philadelphia, actually. And recently, within the last year, moved to the burbs. I have a wife and a young son and 2 rescue dogs, and we needed more space. So I went to South Jersey, which is like the mortal enemy of South Philly. No, just kidding. But needed more room. Got a nice yard space. Got a room in the back here where I could smoke my pipes, and I guess where I can do my podcast now. So that's what I'm doing. So how I started smoking a pipe was a total shock and surprise to myself, to be honest. I had no plans to smoke a pipe. Just to give you a little background, I just turned 49 a month ago. So right now it's like August 2023. And I would say this was around 2017 is when I started dabbling in the pipe. And what happened was, I would say fresh out of high school, I started occasionally smoking a cigar, and it was more for fun with the guys. I would be with a few guys playing cards, and we would, pretend we're smoking cigars, light them up. We didn't know what we were doing. But then that eventually grew to me being curious about cigars and getting into some premium cigars. And even when I was smoking cigars, it wasn't a ton. I have a small humidor at home with like maybe 15 cigars in there. And I would get in generally, eventually, 2 cigars a week. So it would be like Tuesday and Saturday were my days to get down to the local B&M or sit on my deck and smoke a cigar. but I enjoyed it. I really loved the flavors, and I was into some dark cigars. I like Maduros, even though they tend to be a little sweeter, even though everybody thinks that they're really strong. Like non-cigar people would think. They would see a Maduro wrapper and say, like, oh my God, you're smoking that thing, because they don't know. They see a light color wrapper and they think that's light. They see a dark color wrapper and they think that's too strong, but you know the deal. But I would smoke I was into like my Father line, the Tatuaje, all the Pete Johnson stuff. And I really liked Drew Estate. I liked their Liga Privada, number 9. And I was in my local B&M. This is around 2017, and I'm in the front buying a cigar, and they had this nice lounge in the back. And all the same guys were always in there, so it was great. I would get a hot, big black cup of coffee and maybe a Liga Privada, and then head into the back lounge and catch up with the guys. So I'm sitting there one day. Actually, before that, on my way back into the lounge in the back, I passed by some pipe tobacco, and I saw that Drew Estate made pipe tobacco. And I was like, whoa, hold on there. And that got me a little curious. I was like, I wonder what that's like. I had no idea that any cigar companies were making pipe tobacco like Drew Estate and CAO, even though they generally make aromatics, which I'm not into. But that's still, I didn't know they were even aromatics at the time. But I was just a little curious. So one day I'm in the back, and this guy comes into the back, and he's smoking a pipe. And I was in shock. I haven't seen someone smoking a pipe since like my uncle in 1979. I looked at him, and it was like instant time machine. I felt like I was like, what year? What is going on? I was totally confused. But I also was really, really curious. So I introduced myself to him, and I asked him to sit down next to me. I swear to God, when I first saw him, my mouth dropped open like Dan Aykroyd in Ghostbusters, that first time he saw the ghost and that cigarette was just dangling from his lip. That's what happened to my cigar. I was like, what is that? So he sits down, and he was really cool. So he sits down, and he was great. He was super nice. He answered all my questions. I probably totally ruined his smoke at the time because he kept talking to me, and he kept having a relight and tamp, and I just was peppering him with all kind of questions. So after the conversation, he was like, listen, if you're really interested in pipes, on your way out, go buy a corncob pipe and grab a bag of one of their house blends. And this is 2017, so you still had some pouches of house blends at the front counter. So I said, all right, I'm going to do it. So I grabbed a corncob pipe, and the tobacconist handed me a bag of Burley, of their house blend Burley. So I was totally confused. I said, like, what is this? And the tobacconist says, it's Burley. I said, okay, but what's that? And he just said, it's Burley. See, that was his best explanation, apparently. So I said, okay, I'll give this a try. And he said, listen, if you don't like Burley, you're not going to like pipe smoking. Let that sink in for a second. I said, okay. Now, this was probably, it was a goopy, they sprayed it with something. I wouldn't call it an aromatic, but it was definitely like a goopy, it seemed like a goopy version of like Prince Albert. If you took Prince Albert and then put like wet Cavendish on it or something like that, I don't even know. But that's what it was. But can you imagine now, looking back on that now, I can't think of a worse statement to tell a pipe smoker that if you don't like this house blend Burley, you're not going to like pipe smoking, which is insane to me now, considering how many great and much different blends there are out there. That's just insanity. But like, that guy actually got fired not long after that. It had nothing to do with me and Burley, but he actually probably didn't know what the hell he was talking about. So I take the pipe and the tobacco, and I'm heading home. And I get home, and my wife wasn't home yet. My son wasn't born yet. So I'm in there by myself. So I'm sitting at the kitchen table, and I take out this pipe and tobacco, and then I have my laptop open. So I'm watching YouTube videos on how to pack a pipe, how to light a pipe, probably all the same stuff you did if you're under the age of 50. So I'm probably watching like Mutton Chop Piper, how to pack a pipe, how to light the pipe. I'm doing it. While I'm packing this pipe, I'm thinking, what the hell am I doing? I was like, what the hell? I got a corncob pipe in my hand right now, and I'm packing a pipe with tobacco. Okay. So I start to light the tobacco, and I'm puffing on it, and I'm laughing at myself. I'm literally embarrassed of myself, and no one's in the room. I'm like, what is wrong with me? I'm like, why am I drawn to this? No one I know is doing this. No one's into it. Like, what is going on? And, I'm having a hard time keeping it lit because it's goopy. I didn't dry it out. And, who the hell knows if it would even dry out after how long or whatever. And it tasted like nothing. Now, I'm coming from like, some, flavorful cigars, like full flavored cigars. And I'm going to this like, house blend, plain burley that tastes like nothing to me at the time. But I connected with something from the process. I don't know if it was the pipe itself, if it was trying to keep a little mini fire going under my nose, but there was a connection there that drew me in. It definitely wasn't the flavor of the tobacco. It was maybe the ceremony of it. But I did start, after a few times doing this, I did start having these thoughts of, early 20th century Americana, thinking about all the guys every man smoked a pipe just about, right? We're talking like World War I and, 1900s, like back then, and probably my grandfather and his father. So I started having all these like feelings of nostalgia. That's really what grabbed me to it. And I pretty much stuck with it. I would just break out the pipe every once in a while, and there was something about that pipe. There was something about the pipe that was different from cigars. Obviously, at this point, the cigar flavors to me were better, but there was something bigger than the moment with the pipe over the cigars. I couldn't tell what it was at the time, but so it grabbed me. So from that day on in 2017, I gradually started getting into pipe tobacco and pipes, and I kind of stopped smoking cigars. I still have 15 cigars in my humidor, which is, the humidity level in it is still working and everything like that. I broke one out not long ago just to see what was going on with it, and I smoked it, but it's not the same. I'll smoke a cigar now, like when I'm with friends and we're out somewhere, or if I'm on the golf course and guys are smoking, I'll do it there. But if I'm by myself and I want to smoke, I'm grabbing a pipe. And especially now that I'm in my new house where I have space indoors with a ton of windows in this back room here where I can get out of the weather. I'm grabbing the pipe, and I will take that 9.9 times out of 10. The only time I even grab a cigar anymore is, like I said, when I'm with friends and we're going to be talking and shooting the shit or up moving around like golf and stuff like that. Other than that, I'll take a pipe all day long. So basically, that's my pipe origin story. I'm really into these. I'm always curious as to what others are. So I plan on having some guests on to talk about theirs and where they are with their pipes today, like where they started and then where they are now. So I'll get into a little bit about what came in after that. So after I really started getting into pipe tobacco, and I started to understand it a little more, and I started ordering blends mostly off Smoking Pipes, and pipes and cigars. And the first tobacco that really changed my thinking about what pipe tobacco could be, because at this point I'm smoking these couple different house blends I got from my local B&M, was I got Dunhill London Mixture. And when I lit that and tasted the Orientals, and that Turkish tobacco, I literally put the pipe down and I was like in shock. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like I couldn't believe how much better and it was than the house blends and what those flavors were. Cause you're not really getting, well, I didn't get any Orientals from my my house blends. So, but that Turkish tobacco just grabbed me. And of course, right around that time, Dunhill was leaving, and then I lost London Mixture. I did grab one more tin, and it's in the cellar to this day. I don't even know if I'm ever going to open it. It's probably just a souvenir at this point. But that got me into English blends, and I started smoking. What was I smoking? After London Mixture, I was probably smoking Westminster, GLP's Westminster, because they said that was very similar. And it was. I think it's a little richer than London Mixture. But GLP's Westminster became my next love. And Seattle Pipe Clubs, obviously the Plum Pudding line. And I liked Bengal Slices a lot, Black House a lot. And I just started going through a lot of Kia blends. I became a lot of Kia-phile. Like I was smoking Pirate Cake, and I couldn't get enough. A lot of Kia and Oriental. I just give it, just keep it coming. And I kept hearing about vapors. I kept seeing videos on YouTube talking about vapors and Virginia Perique, and I was like, all right, well, you're sampling all these different blends. I'm like, I'm trying all these different combinations. I just kept going back to English. And then when I would get a Virginia Perique or even a straight Virginia, I didn't understand what I was smoking. Like my palate was not ready for it, especially coming off a lot of Kia blends, which makes sense. If you're coming from full flavored cigars, you would think you would probably align with a lot of Kia blends, right then. And it takes time, and you know this, obviously, which I didn't at the time. Your palate, you don't even know what you're smoking. And you have to go through these patterns and this timeline to get to more subtle blends. And I feel like that's where maybe a lot of beginner pipe smokers mess up. I think they go aromatic first, and they go to stuff that's too light, and you can't taste it. And I would say, in my opinion, coming from cigars, so if you're coming from a cigar world, go straight to English blends and go to heavy Latakia blends, because you're already used to those full flavors. And at least with those blends, you'll get those full flavors and you'll understand it. If you go to a straight Virginia, you're not going to know what the hell it is. You're not going to even understand it. It's going to taste like air. And that's what was happening with me. So every once in a while when I put an order in, I would try to grab a vapor or a straight Virginia, and I just didn't understand it. And at the time, I thought I didn't like it. But what I know now is I just didn't understand it. So I just jarred a bunch and put them in the cellar. So I have so many tins open, because I kept doing that. Every time I would put an order in, I would grab Peterson Deluxe Navy Rolls, and then Elizabethan Mixture, and I still have a Peterson Flake in the basement, and all these Virginias that I tried once and just put away, and I'm going back to them now, and I'm just well, spoiler alert, I am now really smoking more Virginias. So my palate has shifted. It's made a big shift. It's funny because I loaded up on all these lot of Kia blends that I was selling. I was like, I got to get an 8-ounce tin of Westminster, and I got to get Gaslight, and I got to get Spark Plug, and I'm ordering all these. They're not even open. They're in the basement now because we're wrapping up on the end of summer. And I would say by last summer, I started getting into Virginias a lot. And I have find it hard to go back to Latakia right now. Now I'm hoping, since I'm in the Northeast, with winter time coming, I will start to gravitate towards the Latakia blends again, almost like beer. Like for me, not that I'm a big beer drinker or a big drinker at all anymore, but I like seasonal stuff. So summertime, you're not going to drink a porter, right? You're going to drink something on the lighter side, a pale ale or something crispy, or a summer ale, Sam Summer, or something like that. That's the way I do it. And then in the wintertime, in the fall, especially like around Halloween, I like all the October beers. I like Oktoberfest. I like all the pumpkin beers and stuff like. Not that, don't equate that with aromatics, because I'm not an aromatic guy, but I like seasonal stuff. And then in the wintertime, I like heavier beers and coffee stouts and big thick porters, and then I'll get into my brown whiskeys starting in the wintertime. So like in the summertime, if I'm drinking liquor, I'll probably be drinking like vodka or like tequila. I like tequila drinks in the summer, and then in the winter I like darker stuff. So that's kind of where I think as the fall comes, I'll probably going to start getting into Burley's more, because I love HH's Burley Flake. I think that's amazingly delicious. I ran out of Solani aged Burley Flake a while ago, and I can't find it anywhere. Been searching the internet everywhere, every site. Nobody has it. But the HH Burley Flake is amazing if you haven't tried it. Love it. But yeah, that's where I am right now. So I am into Virginia's right now, Virginia's and Vapors, and it is late August. So I think fall, I'm going to start breaking out. I still have a couple tins of 8 State Burley from Cornell and Deal. I'm going to get back to that and get back to my HH Burley Flake and get into my Latakias again. And I probably won't be into like Pirate Cake or anything like that, but I'll probably be into, I love GLP's Chelsea Morning. I like Squadron Leader, which is funny because I didn't like Squadron Leader when I first tried it, because I was in there like really heavy Latakia blends. But I recently tried it and it's awesome. So I think where my palate's going is it's just lighter Latakia blends and loving Virginia blends. So that's where I am right now. I'm going to wrap up this episode. I wanted to try to keep these to 20 minutes. And just so they're like dog walkers, because the podcasts that are out there now that I enjoy, they're long podcasts. They're all over an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. I wanted this to be a little different. I just want this to be I'm going to call this the dog walker. Just a 20-minute, and I want to keep it. My plan is to keep these episodes geared towards really getting into the blends themselves. When I talk about pipes, it's probably going to be mostly about bowl sizes as they affect the different blends I'm smoking, rather than getting into specific makers of pipes and stuff like that, because I'm really interested in tobacco itself. Because to be honest with you, when I'm smoking my tobacco, I like to put on a video of the tobacco I'm smoking, or I would love to listen to a podcast about the tobacco that I'm smoking. And I've watched the same videos over and over all the time. I just had a bowl of, what the hell did I smoke just this morning? Oh, I just smoked a bowl of GLP's Fillmore this morning with my morning coffee. And what do? I have my cell phone, and I'll pull up, and I'll say, who's talking about Fillmore? And I wind up watching the same videos. I don't know if I'm just weird. I don't know if you guys do that. I'd be curious to know if you do. But that's why I wanted to do this podcast this way. So it's going to be mostly about the tobacco itself. So I just wanted to get this first one out there just to give you a little bit of background about myself. I'm going to try to keep this no frills, no music. Let me know what you think of that. In and out, hello and goodbye. And kind of like Mike Tyson walking in the ring just with no towel, just like ready to go. Just, you know what I mean? Just no socks, no towels, gloves are there. Just ring the bell already. So that's where I think I'm going with this, but who the hell knows? If you want to hit me up, I am on Instagram. The podcast probably not going to have a website. I'm going to keep it on Instagram, so it's Talkin' Tobacco, TALKIN, no G because I'm in the Northeast and we're kind of dumb like that. So let me know what you think. Again, my name's Bill. You can DM me there. That would be great. I'll put some polls up and see what you guys want to hear about next. I think I'm going to talk about Luxury Bullseye Flake in episode 2 and just get into that and my thoughts on it and on why I love it. I'll also probably do my top 5 tobaccos that I'm smoking right now versus who the hell knows in 2 months from now. That'll probably change, but I'm sure you're familiar with that if you're a pipe smoker. Unless you're that guy that smokes the same blend all year round. I'm curious about that guy too. But anyway, thank you for downloading the podcast. Let me know your suggestions on what episodes you would like to see. I would appreciate that. That would help out a lot. And we'll see how long this goes. But anyway, thanks again for listening to episode 1 and coming up next, episode 2.